and welcome to another episode of Friday Night Knits. This is my fourth time trying to film this episode, so I thought the third time I had nailed it. I had nailed it. I did. I did. So we're gonna try again, and this time, hopefully, I can be a little bit more concise with what it is I need to say. I tell my students all the time, why not me? So, with that said, my name is Rachel, and this is an episode of Friday Night Knits where I talk about my knitting, sometimes my crochet. Obviously, I talk about yarn, lots of it. And occasionally, I will also share with you some books, some movies, and audiobooks that I like to dive into. So, with that said, let's just get right into it. I am on April break. This is a week-long break that we have here in Massachusetts. Ours is usually that third week of April. It is a wonderful time of year because it gives you an opportunity to travel, it gives you an opportunity to rest and get yourself back into the groove before you go back to work, because the last 6 or 7 weeks of the school year can be a little challenging for a variety of different reasons that I want to share, but not right now. So with that said, my hope for this particular break is to do some traveling to see my family down south. I grew up in Georgia, and then while I was a freshman in college, my mother relocated to Florida. Now, I have a very big family. I'm an only child, but I have lots of cousins because my mother has several brothers and sisters who live throughout the United States as well as Germany. And so, because we're such a big family, it's hard to see everyone on a regular basis. And since I literally relocated myself here to Massachusetts, where I only have one cousin who lives in this particular area, I have to go above and beyond to make sure I spend quality time with my family. But before I travel, I love to think about and plan out what I'm going to work on now that I'm a knitter and a crocheter. Not to say I didn't crochet prior to, but I never bought that. I never thought to bring crocheting with me whenever I traveled. However, in the last 3 years or more, I make sure before I even pack my own clothes that I not only know what I'm going to be knitting, that I pack, I make a, let me restate this. I have a suitcase big enough to fit all of my projects. So with that said, my works in progress are also the projects I put together that I was hoping to work on while I'm in North Carolina for this April break. So my first project I would like to share with you is the Musselburgh Hat. This is a hat that, I shouldn't say millions, but it does seem to be thousands of people who have successfully cast on and made this hat and love it. I've heard nothing but positive things about the pattern because it's so customized. It's customized to your needles, to your yarn, to even your tension, and that you as a maker can decide what size to make and just using the formula that was already created for you by the designer. So I've had some troubles with this particular pattern for a little bit. I attempted to cast on, I want to say about 3 or 4 months ago at the height of our winter season, using a variety of different yarns in my yarn collection and just could not get it going. Although the pinhole cast on was an issue, I actually was able to figure that out pretty easily because it's very similar to the magic loop that we do in crochet, where we crochet into the stitch until we have a certain diameter, and then we close the loop, and then we continue to increase until the circle is the circumference that we want it to be. And it looks like knitting has a very similar technique as well, where again, you make a little loop and then you go in and out the loop and making sure that you do a stitch until you have enough stitches, and you close the loop and then you do your increases. So that part was the easy part for me. And that seems to be the part that a lot of people struggle with. I'm like, well, maybe if you know how to crochet, maybe you could, but I'm just kidding. I feel like knitters and crocheters have like this little tension between the two of them, which is another story for another day. But anyway, I digress. So since I didn't struggle with that, where I did struggle was reading the directions. Uh, Apparently, if you read the directions of a pattern, the garment could come out the way it's supposed to. I'm wearing my late to check out garment, by the way. So anyway, I read the directions incorrectly and cast on, was knitting away, and I'm like, this doesn't look quite right. And looked at the pictures of other patterns and realized, other projects, I should say, and realized, yes, it was incorrect, Rachel, you need a frog. So I frauded, did it again. I kept making similar mistakes, whether it was forgetting to put the stitch marker in or forgetting which round I was on when I was supposed to be doing the increasing. I just was struggling with this. So I decided to put the project on hold, delete it, and try again. So today is the day I'm trying it again. I actually tried it last night, and I don't think I had the mental energy of doing so because we had a talent show at the high school I teach at, and it is an event that I plan, and it was a lot of running up and down the stairs and a lot of telling students that they cannot come. Hang on one second, just decline this call. Did I decline it? Yes, I did. So anywho, uh, so I tried last night, didn't work out, but I tried this morning and it worked out. So we have the cast on successful. My hole is nice and closed. I'm doing my increasing. I had a little trouble with the increase there, so I'll use the tail to fix the little gaps there, or this might be the inside version of it. But it happens sometimes. I go into the loop. I think I make it too loose when I do my make one left. I've never been the best at doing the make one left. I can do a make one right properly where I don't end up having a little small gap. But for whatever reason, sometimes when I make one left, sometimes, not all the time, I will have that. So I got to work on that a little bit. But with that said, it's coming along. It looks the way it's supposed to look. So that's a relief. And I have my four corners or my quadrant happening there. So it's growing. I'm not going to keep it on magic loop. I'm just going to keep doing this until it's at a circumference where I can put it onto the 16 inches so I can knit it around. The yarn I'm using with this is yarn I purchased from Rhinebeck 2024. This is the CC Wool American, they're like Tweety fingering weight yarn. It's made with Targhee and other American wool. It doesn't specify its percentage. And so it is very, very lovely. I absolutely love it. It's beautiful. It's bouncy. It's so soft. And I love the little Tweety bits. And I love looking at Tweety yarn. I just have yet to make a garment with it. And so I thought I'll start off with something small, fall in love with it, and then hopefully I can make more garments with it. So the other yarn I'm holding it with is, I know this is a little ball of it. I do have the bigger skein, but this is Sonderco Surrey Alpaca yarn. This is just in the color white. And I have a bigger version of this, but this is like my little sample ball. I wanted to see whether or not I like the pairing of the two. And I do. I love, love. And what was most concerned about with pairing it with a mohair or Surrey Alpaca was that I was afraid the Tweety bits would be lost, and they were not. So I'm glad that they're still here. They're looking good. I'm enjoying it. Can't wait to bring this with me. So that way when I'm meeting with my cousins or I'm hanging out with my mom and the kids, I can just sit there just knitting around and have a good time. So that's the first project coming with me. The second project coming with me are my socks. I am still working on the petty socks. This is a free pattern by Rayna Curtis. I'm going to put the information on the screen. She made a really cute design sock. I'm enjoying it. It's a free pattern, so I'm not giving anything away. Round one, you just knit. Round two, you knit one per one. Round three, you just knit. And then, yeah, no, yeah, round three you just knit, and then round four you knit three and you purl one. I could have the numbers off, but basically it's 4 rows. Two of the rows you're knitting, one row you're knitting one and you're purling one, and then one row you're knitting three and purling one. And it makes for an interesting textured stitch. I did a 1x1 ribbing. I'm using 2.5 millimeter needles, my Chagu. There, I did my shadow wrap hill. The pattern doesn't call for shadow wrap. It actually uses a hill flap. But again, I don't like hill flaps. I don't have a, I just don't like them. Okay. I don't. I tried. I don't like them. I did finish one sock. So this is what the one finished sock looks like. I mentioned this in my episode last time. Initially, I wanted to do a round toe cast off, but I couldn't find the link I usually use to do my round toe, so I ended up just using what the pattern tells you to do, which is kitcheneer stitch. And I'm not gonna lie, my kitcheneer stitch came out pretty well, so I'm going to do it with the second foot as well, or maybe I do a round toe, so one foot would look one way, another one would do that one. The yarn I'm using, it's Hedgehog Fibers. The name of it I don't remember, but it is on my Ravelry, so you can definitely check it out. My ball is a little smaller because yesterday, while we were in intermission of the talent show, one of my students, she was like, Miss G, I don't have any yarn with me. Do you have any yarn? I have my knitting needles. I need something to do. I was like, girl, I got you. So I made her a quick little ball of yarn taking from this. And I told her that as soon as I'm done with the socks, she can have whatever is left over and she can make whatever her little heart desires. So I just love the fact that so many of my students, and I shouldn't say like it's like thousands, but quite a few of them have shown a firm interest in this world of knitting and crochet. Another student yesterday was crocheting because again, we were just all sitting on a stage and having such a fun moment. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to miss these kids so much when the year is over. But anywho, we were just sitting on stage, just chit chatting. And one of them, her yarn was like super tangled. So as she was talking, I was detangling her yarn so that way she can have a smoother interaction with it. So good times, great oldies with her. Showing her how to detangle her yarn but also crochet. Then we had the wonderful talent show, and I'm so glad that that event is done. But I'm so glad it went so well. The kids had a really good time, and that's all that matters. I just love the energy that they were bringing. So yes, so that project is coming with me. The socks are coming with me. Another project that I'm bringing with me, but I don't plan on working on too much, is my love letter top that's living in my Hoagie Lucky Telly bag. Initially, it was living in my cute little sheep's bag this is my favorite project bag. I'm sure you guys are sick and tired of me talking about this, but this is my project bag. This is my baby. I love this thing. That goes with me everywhere, and she would probably make it with me to North Carolina if I'm being truthful. But anywho, I had to take it out of, I didn't have to, but I got the idea of taking it out of that bag because as I was looking at this, I was like, God, that matches the yarn I'm doing. It's very close proximity. And see, it's close. I mean, it's not the exact coloring, but I was like, oh, it's like in the same color family. So with that said, I've made some really great progress with it. As you can see, I have joined in the body. My lace work is there. It's not perfect. There have been lots of mistakes throughout the process, but I think what I love so much about textured garments, whether it's a top or sweater, is that you can hide those imperfections or use those imperfections to enhance the uniqueness of the garment. That's how I'm spinning it. And so I'm using my enhance modifications that I have done to this particular project and just really enjoying it. I hope to pick up and work on it again this evening. I have not touched this project in about 2 days because of work and just being really super tired. Um, Anywho, um, with that said, it is coming along really well. I absolutely positively love it. And I'm so glad that I have decided to move forward with this project in itself. And I plan on continuing working on it. And I hope to have this finished by the end of the month. So that way in May, when it's nice and worn consistently, I'll be able to wear it with a nice pair of linen pants. So that's that project. The second, so that's my third project. Excuse me. So I do think I'm bringing it with me to North Carolina, but if I do, it probably be my evening project because with that one, it does require me to actually use my computer. Usually, for most of my projects, I look at the pattern on my phone, and I don't have an iPad because I do everything. If it's not on my phone, I do it on my computer. But one day, I probably will end up treating myself to an iPad. But anywho, I really love this pattern and I want it to come out as well as it has been. So I've been using the more enlarged version of the pattern on my computer because I can see the expectations a little bit clearer. And I just found that I've been making less mistakes when I've been doing the pattern, using the pattern, I should say, on my computer. Whereas on my phone, I tend to get distracted. And I noticed that that's not a pattern that is intuitive to me. It may be to others, but not to me because I'm not really strong at lace knitting. So I need more time to like process what it is I need to do and to envision the outcome. Because sometimes this is a pattern that I notice I second guess myself a lot at. So in order to ensure I don't second guess too much and I don't make too many mistakes, I'm just sticking to my computer and I hope for the best. That's all I could do. And I will be bringing it, but I don't foresee myself working on it too much while I'm going, just to maintain knowledge of the pattern. Maybe like 15, 20 minutes a day in the morning might be what I will do. So in addition to that, I also am going to be casting on a book from my Sanders Garn knitting book or magazine. I don't know if this is considered a magazine or book, but we'll call it a book. As you know, I hope you know, Needles at the Ready, Kevin and Ray, and Michael from Piece for Piece, both are co-hosting, I should say, this knit along. There's no prizes. There's not make along. It's not a knit along, it's a make along. There's no prizes. There are no prizes. Excuse me. However, what the prize is just that special feeling of knowing you did something. So what it is, crafters are encouraged to take something or a pattern from a book and implement that particular pattern. So a lot of people were talking about crochet, for example. So different type of crochet books that are out there that have these beautiful patterns that we all love, but for whatever reason haven't taken the time out to put on our hooks. Same thing with knitting as well. And so for me, for this particular make along, I already completed a pattern from Tony Lipsy's The Tunisian Crochet book. And so I am not going to do another pattern from that yet until maybe in a couple of months in the winter. There's this blanket I want to make out of it that I keep thinking about. Anyway, I digress. However, as you should know, or if you watch this episode of this channel, I have made two or maybe three socks from this particular book since they started to make along. So love, love, love my Summerly project book. If you have not purchased the sock project book, please do yourself a favor and do so. It's so bright and colorful. It just, I don't know, it just warms my spirit, and it just makes me feel bold about trying these different things and just like, oh, but where I want to feel fancy and highly intelligent, because Sandra Scarn's patterns are definitely those type ones where you just need to pay a little bit more attention to. So I purchased this through Mother Knitters, I believe. It's either Mother Knitters or another one. Whatever Etsy I use, I will definitely link. I know I linked it in my previous episode, but nevertheless, I purchased this in order to make the Amy slipover. I saw Jonna from Knit Together with Kim and Jonna. She had made the Amy slipover, and this is my style. I love high turtlenecks. I love vest. I just never find any that really fit my fancy. And I purchased this with the intention of making this pattern, but for whatever reason have not cast on. It's not because I don't have the yarn, I don't have the time, I just have not cast on. So my goal is to cast on the Amy slipover before the end of the year. However, I came across, as I was looking through the book, because whenever I buy a knitting book, I try to make sure I'm not just doing it for the book. I also, for one pattern, I hope that there's other patterns in there that I can fall in love with. And there was one, the cherry sweater dress. And so I made the cherry sweater, I want to say a year ago. It came out okay. I made some mistakes. So with the cherry sweater, there's two versions. There's a solid version similar to what you see on a dress, but there's also a striped version. And with the striped version, I was checking along, having a good time. And then I was traveling and I did not bring all of the main color yarn. And so, which is here, it was left at home. So I tried to finagle it to, make it work, because I needed something to work with, because I made a mistake of only bringing one knitting project. Who brings one knitting project when you're going out of town for 4 days? So I was definitely having heart palpitations. However, successfully worked through that particular crisis, but I have an abundance of yarn left over because I, again, left the main color yarn left over at home, excuse me. So I thought, so I decided I'm going to use that yarn. It's the Sandra Scarn Linne, or some people call it line, but it's Linne because it's linen. And I decided I'm going to use that in order to make this dress, because I have my stripe pipe dress, which I can only wear in the fall or early spring. Those are only two weather patterns I feel comfortable wearing it. I want to wear more knitted garments. I love wearing my knitted garments, and I think this will be perfect. Why I'm so excited about this is that not only am I knitting it around, and it has big bell sleeves, which I don't like, but I like for this pattern. I think it's going to be fun, and in summertime when it's a super hot day and I can throw this on and I can wear it as a cover, or I can wear it as its own garment. Like that is it. I think it's going to fit very nicely in my wardrobe. And it's a raglan. I've been wanting to get better at making raglans, as I mentioned before. I don't do, I want to get better at my make one lefts, and I think that this will be a perfect project to assist me with that. So I got my yarn out. I took the knitting needle, and guess what? I made a swatch. I never make swatches, but this time I wanted to, not because I wanted to check to see if I got gauge, because who cares if I get gauge or not. For me, especially for a raglan top down, I need to make sure that I like the fabric. That is my number one reason why. And anytime I do a gauge swatch, I'm checking to see, A, do I like the fabric? And B, do I like working with the yarn, like how it feels in my hands? Do I like it with the needles I selected? And then finally, especially if I'm doing like a multicolor project, do I like the sequence of colors and how they're interacting with each other? So that's my reasoning for doing a swatch. It's not just simply just to see if I'm getting gauge or not. So for this one, I did get pretty close to gauge. Unblocked, it's 20.75. Blocked, it is 20. So, and the pattern calls for 21 stitches. I'm at 20. So one stitch off, which can have its issues. So if I were to stick to the knitting needle, I would go down a size. I would go down to the size large because it has positive ease in it as well. So I decided that I'm going to go down a needle size because although I do like the fabric, I love the drapiness of this. I do want the stitches to be a little bit tighter. So I think maybe at the top, and I don't know, I have to play around with it. I haven't quite decided where I want it to. I just don't want the fabric to be too dense where you can see through. And you can't see through this too much, but I know that with linen, it doesn't hold its shape. And over the course of time, I know it's going to stretch out. So I decided, and I don't have mohair to kind of give it more of that stability. And I do have some nylon thread that I can potentially hold with this to maybe give it a little bit more structure. So maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll try the nylon thread to give it just a little bit more of that structure to ensure that it won't immediately lose its shape as it's already doing. Like I made this last night and it's already like, it's definitely a little loosey goosey. So I don't know, I might do that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that some more. Leaning towards it. But all in all, let me not go on a tangent. All in all, really excited that one, I have a project to do with all this yarn. Is so much of it. I have all these little balls in my stash in my little basket. You know how we have like a basket of yarn from leftover projects. So my basket is getting pretty big and I donated a slew of yarn to my students, but it's still so much yarn in there. And I'm like, this is what's been bugging me the most. And for my bookcase that I have over here, I'm going to just turn the camera so hopefully you can see. For that particular bookcase, my goal is to only use the yarn that's in that section other than my sock yarn to make projects with. I'm not going to deviate and pick up yarn from other, like whatever's over there. I have to use out that yarn by the end of the year. That's my goal for myself. And so here is the basket that was living over there. I am planning on making the rainy day shirt with this. Sorry, I'm all of a sudden popular. I'm planning on making the rainy day tee with this particular yarn. This is a Sorella yarn I purchased. The balls here are Sorella yarn I purchased. Wow, I want to say maybe 5 years ago because it was during right at the beginning. So almost, yeah, I guess it is 5 years ago. It's been 5 years since we did lockdown for COVID. I didn't even realize that, but that's around the time when I purchased it. That's, whew, man. Okay. But anywho, I have that yarn and I plan on using it. And my goal is to use all the yarn on that shelf. And when all that's yarn, then I should say, excuse me, I'm going to bring over other yarns to do it. It's not that I'm on a no buy or like any like weird like stance right now. I just genuinely have fallen in love with all of my yarn at some point at time of purchase, yet I'm not using it. And I really want to make use of it because it's such beautiful. There are such beautiful items out there that I can potentially make, and I just want to make them. So I have my yarn, I have the time, I'm going to make it, and I'm going to have a good time doing so. So those are the projects that are most likely going to be traveling with me. Will I be able to work on them while I'm in North Carolina? No, but it's nice to have that option because I never, ever want to be out of town again with no yarn. That was horrible traveling to Georgia without just one yarn project and then not to have it because I was just sitting there like, what do I do with my hands? What did I do with my hands before I became a knitter? Like, I don't know. So that's what's happening. I don't have any other future cast on that I'm planning on doing at the moment. The goal is just to focus on those 4 projects. I am still planning on working on the Stella pin cushion. It's been sitting there looking at me, and where I'm at right now with this project, believe it or not, Needles. I looked all over my yarn room, all over the house, and I'm like, why don't we have any sewing needles in here? And then I remembered Rachel, October 2024, who had the brilliant idea of making uh, fabric squares with her students. And naturally, the babies all lost my knitting, not my knitting needles, they did lose those too, my sewing needles. And did I replenish them? No, I just went on about my merry way. So I need to buy more sewing needles, and I hope to do that this weekend. So this weekend is to buy sewing needles. My two of my coworkers were kind enough to donate the fabric cutters to me, so I have the fabric cutter. I just need to buy the sewing needles. I found my thread, so that's a win. And once I have my sewing needles, I'm going to sew up the insert, and then I will know whether or not I'm going to do a knitted back or I'm going to do a fabric back to my friend's pincushion. And my hope is to give it to her in May. I think it would be perfect as a Mother's Day present to her because she's a mother of two amazing little girls. She's a wonderful teacher, a wonderful colleague, and just want to do something nice for her because she did something nice for me and she was so thoughtful when she was traveling abroad with her family, and she happened upon a yarn store and she purchased this beautiful, huge, mega skein of wool yarn for me. And I'm like, I have to do something for her with that because not only did I make a front of that pincushion for her, I have so much of that yarn left over. It has been used in a variety of different projects and it's still living on. So I just wanted to do something nice for her, just to express my gratitude because I love when people do things for others and whatnot. And I'm like, I want to do more for others too. So super excited about that. Ready to embark on buying sewing needles this weekend. I just don't know where to go because usually I buy them from Michael's and Joann's, and both stores have closed in the community that I live in. So I'm going to have to do some driving to find me another one. So that's it in terms of that. So let's go ahead and transition to the final little bits. I told you what my plans are for this weekend and after, or this week. So after my travels, I'm going to be back at work. We are in the final 7 weeks, 8 weeks of the school year. Oh, what am I saying? 7 or 8 weeks. My last day of school is not till June 23rd. Who am I fooling? I still got a long time to go. So, to help me get through this process, I have been listening to some amazing audiobooks that I wanted to share with you all. Oh, goodness, that's a crazy text message. And another one. The audiobook I wanted to first share with you. Let me bring it up. Please be patient. Please be patient. Okay. Christina Lauren. So, I'm going to, here she is. Can you see that? I hope you can. Christina Lauren, I read or listened to one of her books a while ago, had such a wonderful experience, and I had this on hold and it finally became available. And I'm so glad because it was such an entertaining story. It made me laugh, it made me think, made me smile. So if you're looking for a nice reprieve from podcast or other books, like this may be a really good one. It's called The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I won't give away what it's about. I'm just telling you right now, you're going to get tickled. It's like one of those like, oh my goodness, this is a good book. I recommend it. Another book I listened to that I knew very early on who the killer was, and about 3 or 4 hours into the story, the author confirms that whoever you had thought was a killer is a killer. But this is like 4 hours into the story, and this is a 12-hour book. So I'm like, I still have lots of hours to listen to. Like, how are you going to pull this off? This author pulled it off. So it's called It's One of Us. It was really good. It was really good. I was surprised by that because usually when you realize like who the bad guy or who's the killer, you're like, you kind of lose interest in the story, especially if you figure it out early on. Not with this book. The way that the author keeps with the twists and turns, you're just like, oh, I did not see that coming. The one part of the ending, I was like, that's a bit of a stretch. But hey, the reality is it could happen. Another story, because I had such a wonderful time listening to The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren, I decided to give another one of her books a try that was available called The True Love Experiment. That one was entertaining. It took a little while to get into it, and that one was a bit more spicier than the previous story, but it was still good. For me, I found that by the 5th hour of the story, I was locked in. But the first hour or so, I was just like, okay, I missed something. And I also think one of the reasons why I missed something that first hour is because I was listening to it while I was getting situated in the house. When I say situated, like I was transitioning our kitchen from breakfast to lunch and just getting everyone's lunch ready. And my sons were talking to me. My husband was talking to me. So it was just, I'm trying to listen to the audiobook while they're all talking to me about randomness. And I'm like trying to turn it off and engage. So it was a lot of like, huh? Oh, okay. And oh, okay. Like a lot of that was happening. And so I think that's why I couldn't like follow the story as well. Typically, when I start an audiobook, I will either start it when I know there's going to be no interruptions, which usually is when I'm in my car driving from dropping my sons off at school to work. It's only a 6 minute time between dropping them off at school into my job, but it's enough time for me to know if I'm going to like a story or not. So I didn't get a chance to do that this time, and that was a mistake on my end. However, uh, after I was able to get in, have some uninterrupted time, I was able to get into the story. So currently, I'm listening to another J.T. Ellison book called Tear Me Apart. Uh, it is actually really good as well, and I'm enjoying it. And I just got the All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Waltaker. It was recommended on, I think, either YouTube or something popped up in a recommendation for it, and I'm like, I'll check it out. And so we'll see if I like it or not. My goal, I no longer listen to two audiobooks at the same time. I tend to get the plots mixed up, or I don't know, I just found that I can't do that as much as I used to. So I'm more when I'm on Libby, it's one story at a time. When I'm on audio, is one story at a time. Although have been instances where I was listening to an audio. Usually my audiobooks on audio, it is like usually for professional reasons. Like I'm listening to a book that to just inform me more about the law or about African studies or African American studies, and just bringing that verbal knowledge into my brain, so that way I can use it to improve the craft of teaching my students that content in the classroom. So with all that said, I'm really excited about the current audiobooks I'm listening to, but I'm also excited about the books I'm reading, which I wanted to share with you too. So, my sons and I have been going to the library a little bit more frequently than what we used to, now that time has given us the gift of time, so to speak. And my son is currently reading Percy Jackson. He is in love with it, and he's been having such a good time with it. And my youngest son is not reading anything other than Dogman. And so we've been going to the library, picking out additional books in those series in order to get them interested. So while I was there with them last, I picked up this book by B.A. Paris. Now, it's called The Prisoner. I've listened to several of B.A. Paris's books and enjoyed them very much. And so I thought I would with the book as well. And this one ended up being more enjoyable than I thought. The start of it was a little weak. In the ending, I did not like the ending. I'm not gonna lie. The very, very end too. Not the like towards the end. I mean like the last paragraph and a half. I was like, no. But other than that, it was a really good book, and I'm so glad that I took the time out to check it out at the library. I would definitely give it a solid B, if you're looking for a book. I just started this book. This is called Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult and Jennifer Finney Bolin. This book was on my recommendation on Libby. Like, sometimes Libby would populate like the top 10 books or things of that nature. And I went to go reserve the audiobook, but it wasn't available until like another like 6 months. And at that time, I had 10 books on hold. So I was like, never mind. So I picked this up at the library instead. And it's been a little hard to follow what's happening. And again, it's because I don't think I'm as paying as close attention to it, because I'm reading it at the same time I'm reading with my sons, or I'm reading it while I'm eating. And usually one of my kids will come talk to me while I'm eating, because I don't, as much as I try to eat dinner with them, I usually don't, because I have to stop what I'm doing to get someone more milk or more water or a paper towel, or they dropped a fork, or they want some more of this, or this doesn't taste right, or can you heat this up? Like there's so many different requests. You don't know how many times I've like had the fork in my mouth to eat, and my sons are like, "Mommy," I'm like, never mind. So I understand now. My mother-in-law, I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but forgive me. My mother-in-law loved this woman to death. She was such an amazing person. But I had noticed, I was like year 2 or 3 into being married into this family, and I noticed she never ate with us. every Thanksgiving and Christmas and like you name a major holiday or just a simple, gathering. Because sometimes we would go over there just to hang out with her for the day on Sunday, especially on Sundays. Sundays were the days that we were there often. We would go to church with her and then come over to the house and have lunch and dinner. And she would never sit and have a meal with us. And I never understood that until I had Alexios. That's my 10-year-old's name. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Because with a kid, you are, as much as you try to sit there and eat with them, you're constantly having to get up because they need something. They always need something. So I can't sit and eat with my children. Even when we would go out to eat, I'm usually the last person to be able to pick up my food and eat out. And I kid you not, my wedding anniversary was on Monday. It was supposed to be just my husband and I going out to dinner, but apparently my bonus son had plans. And so we, because of traffic, we ended up just eating at a restaurant that's literally within walking distance of our house. So we did this weird loopy loop and we parked in there, and the kids can walk to the restaurant. Like it is literally that close. So we told the boys, like, oh, meet us down here. You can have dinner with us. They ran from our house to the restaurant and we're all sitting there. They ordered their food. We all order our food. We're sitting there, we're eating, and I'm ready to dig in. And again, someone needed something. So I'm catering to their needs. And then my husband doesn't quite like his food. So I'm trying to add like little ingredients that are on the table, like the salt and the pepper and the hot pepper flakes that are so on and so forth to his food to make it more enticing. So I'm like doing all of this. And then my husband's like, well, finally, you could put your fork in your mouth. And I'm like, I know, because I had my pasta all like wound and ready to go take a bite. But I couldn't do it because, again, someone needed. I'm always the last person to eat in my house. And I'm like, I'm following in my mother-in-law's footsteps as well. And I'm trying. So you moms out there who can do that, like, kudos to you. But, let me know because I am struggling with that. So anywho, that long story to say, reason why I've been trying to read and eat at the same time rather than read and watch or look on my phone. Or excuse me, eat and watch and look on my phone. I've been trying to be less present on the phone and more present in books and my writing and my knitting and crochet. The final book, now that you've heard that long unnecessary tangent, that I wanted to share with you is called The Sunrise on the Reaping. I'm a huge fan of Susan Collins. I've read all of her Hunger Games books as well as her the previous prequel to this series, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I enjoyed reading it the second time more than the first time for whatever reason. Maybe, I don't know, I just did. And this is definitely, I was so looking forward to coming home last night because I couldn't wait to get into bed and read it because that's when I've been reading it. My goal is to be in the bed by 9:30. So from 9:30 to 10, sometimes 10:30, I can read my book, whatnot. So that's what I've been doing. And it's hard to put down. Like I have to tell myself, you need to go to sleep. So I just started this on Wednesday and yeah, oh gosh, Wednesday. I'm already on page 145. It is good. I just love that series. I really do. And I've read a few of her other books as well. The titles I can't recall, but the Hunger Games series definitely hands down my favorite. And I'm so glad to be back into it. And I'm not looking forward to when it's over. So when I finish this one, most likely I'm going to read or listen to the audiobooks of the Hunger Games as well as watch the movies. That's tends to be my my routine that I do. But now that I have gushed about my reading and shared with you about my travel slash knitting plans, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me on this Friday. We have made it. Hopefully there aren't any mistakes with this video, and I look forward to meeting with you guys in 2 weeks to catch you up on my projects, to share with you some potential plans, and also to talk more about yarn and some yarn that I want to use because this is going to be my first time doing a full-on project fully finished the way it's supposed to using linen yarn. So let's hope it comes out the way it's supposed to, because in my brain it looks so beautiful. I look gorgeous in it, but things happen. Anyway, happy Friday, have a good time, and I will see you next time. Bye.